I am Sarah from Homespun Childhood, and today we are going to dive into Nancy Larson Science 3. So let's go. Hey folks, I'm Sarah from Homespun Childhood. For those of you who are new here, I am a former teacher turned homeschool mom of 3, and I share all things curriculum, planning, literacy, unit studies, I don't know, all that jazz. Today we're going to look inside the Nancy Larson Science program, and we're looking inside Science 3. If you want a look inside Science 1, I also have a video on that. So let's dive in. Let's talk about what Nancy Larson Science is. So Nancy Larson Science is a spiral-based curriculum for science that goes through different science topics throughout the year. And then each year you are building on and adding on to that knowledge with a deeper understanding of it or a different component of that particular area of science. Nancy Larson, if you're familiar with her, also wrote and developed the Saxon math program that's been used with homeschoolers for quite a while. Nancy Larson Science is next generation science standards correlated. So next generation science standards, for those of you who don't know, it's a national organization of science educators and scientists and all that come together and decide, what should be taught for science. And so this is really a reputable organization, and kind of what we should be looking towards in terms of gold standard for science education is we want things to be correlated and correspond with the next generation science standards. So on Nancy Larson's website, she does have a whole kind of write-up about the standards and how their program compares to that. And they actually have a whole correlation paper that you can download, and I will link to that. So if you are, looking for a program that goes with the science standards, the next gen science standards, this program does meet that. So Nancy Larson Science is going to be a program that goes through all these different topics in a no-fuss way, okay? So there are science programs that are deep dive into a particular topic or two topics for a whole year. So if you're looking at Real Science Odyssey or Blossom and Root, those types of programs, they are going to study earth science for the whole year, or physics for the whole year, or plants for the whole year. And those are great programs. If you have a child who really likes to dig into a topic for a long period of time, this is not the program for you. Those other programs are going to be a better fit. However, if you have a student that gets bored with a particular topic after, 4 or 6 weeks, a couple months, whatever, or you as a teacher get bored with that, or you want to just spiral through things, this is going to be a better fit. So if we look at the different supplies that come with the program, you get your teacher guide, you get a student packet, and it comes kind of in this, shrink wrapped thing. All the pages are kind of glued together on the top so you can rip them off, and student booklets. And I will show you more of those in a minute. And you get access to the website where you can print off additional materials. And so I will walk through all of these different components. This program is pricey. If you buy it new, it's, I want to say like $300 off the website. You can get it secondhand. I bought mine secondhand off eBay, I think for like $150 for all the materials and everything. It does come with a whole big box of materials. I don't have those pulled out right now, but I will link to that below. So let's dig in. I also have our science notebooks over here that I will show you how we are doing notebooking alongside Nancy Larson Science. So let's look at the materials themselves. So we have our teacher guide here, okay? It's beefy. It's also no fuss. It's black and white, okay? Y'all, there's not a lot of prettiness going on here. And then we have our extra materials. Now I have put these in a binder. It does not come with a binder. I have mine labeled on the side, and I pulled off the student material thing for my cover page here. Online with the online resources, I printed off the kind of table of contents going over the different units that are included in Science 3. And those different units are exploring our solar system, investigating elements and compounds, observing physical changes, investigating changes in our atmosphere, exploring Earth's structure, examining the structure and function of parts of seed plants, and investigating amphibians and reptiles. Then we have a list of the science materials per topic and then broken down by lesson. I like having this kind of a cheat sheet so I can prepare really quickly for an upcoming topic. I can gather all my things in advance. I also have the homeschool toolkit kind of page that came with that. And if on their website, they have a really nice section where you can pull up literature connections. So if you want to include more living books or morning basket or, books for your child to read independently, this is really nice. You can go in and just, buy the unit and order all the books from the library real quick. So it's, like 20 pages of books that you can include if you want to, but you don't have to. And then we have a section on the word cards. So Nancy Larson includes a lot of language arts tie-ins here. And one of the things that she includes in the program is vocabulary and studying and learning the vocabulary terms that are part of the science unit. So we know from research that the best way for children to learn vocabulary is through content. So doing separate vocab that's not tied to literature or science or social studies or whatever is not going to really stick and be as beneficial. But if they're learning and practicing vocabulary through a program with that content, it's going to be more meaningful for them and stick better. And so she includes, all the different little words here. And then in the guide, I'll show you in a minute, she talks about different ways you can use the vocabulary. And then we have our student materials, which again, they come kind of on this glued thing or you peel off each page. I'm actually using these in our notebook, so I am copying them or handwriting if it's just, a chart or something. And so each lesson includes a review sheet. As you move up to the older grades, you have some research projects in there. And so the review sheets are usually about a page. Sometimes there's also a lab sheet or an activity sheet, and then we have an assessment at the end of the units, and I will show you what that looks like. The program also includes these little booklets. They come pre-hole punched and stapled by topic, and so here's the solar system one, is quite beefy compared to some of the other ones. Observing physical changes. Okay, there's a booklet for each topic, and we're going to dive into that more in just a minute. So let's look at our guide. So here is the teacher guide. It's pretty thick, okay? It's a lot in here, especially compared to the first grade one. And we'll just dive in. So it starts with an overview of the program. We talk about the different materials, teaching the lesson, reading the booklets, drawing in the booklets, lesson review, and the science word list. So there's a whole section here on different ways you can use the word list. You can make word wall cards, you can use them and do them in a notebook where the student is writing them down. They have a printable template that you can print onto little mailing labels and just kind of hand them to your child and they can stick them in. You can do individual student word cards like on little index cards. We're doing them in our notebook and reviewing them that way. And then we talk about the toolkit, the components that are in the Science 3 toolkit. So these are all the things that come in the toolkit. And then we go into our table of contents with our different topics that are then broken down by lesson. So again, the topics in here are solar system, elements and compounds, physical changes, changes in atmosphere, exploring Earth structure, the parts of seed plants, and amphibians, reptiles. So you notice we're moving through. We have astronomy, we have earth science, we have chemistry, we have physics, we have life science. So all those different topics. And each year, those topics are revisited, but a different component of it or a different layer. And we know from the research on how children learn, how adults learn, that building on prior knowledge is really an important way to have learning stick and be more meaningful and last kind of long term. So if you're more interested on the science of learning, I do have some information on Instagram and my website on that, and I highly recommend the book Make It Stick. So then we just get straight to the lessons. I'm going to skip this first lesson here, unit, and we're going to jump to investigating elements and compounds, which is a unit that we just finished up. Now, my one complaint so far, biggest complaint, and it's kind of a minor complaint really, is that there's not any kind of division between the previous unit and the new unit. There's not a section that's like, now you're going to be starting a chemistry unit type thing. I would like for there to be a couple pages in here that's like, now we're starting this new unit, and here are the key points for the unit, and here are the key vocabulary terms, and here's the book list. Like, that would be nice to have this in here. If you're familiar with Math with Confidence, they have that kind of at the beginning of each new unit. It just goes straight into it. So really, I should tab this off so that I have a tab like this for each unit, and that would be helpful for me. So each unit is set up the same way. We have up here, we're diving into the physical science realm and chemistry in particular, and it's going to have the title of your lesson, this call out box for you. These are the program materials you need. These are the kit materials. These are the collected materials that you need to teach the lesson. And then before the lesson, here's what you need to do. This program is scripted. Okay, so you can just open this book and you can read the script. It has the student answers, suggested answers for the student. Could I teach chemistry and design my own chemistry unit and pull in lots of resources? Absolutely. Could you? Absolutely. Do I have the mental energy and the brain power to do that when I'm also doing all these other things? Not really. I have not been doing science quite as well as I would like to be doing. I have these grand plans and I'm really good at big picture planning, and then life happens and science doesn't. So I have really enjoyed that I can just open this book and do the lesson and know that we did science. If I have the time and the energy and my kid is into the topic, we can dive in. And we did for chemistry. And I will show you some of those resources. But I like that I can just be like, yep, check, we did science. Cool. You will also notice that Nancy Larson includes different types of activities. We have some hands-on activities. We have drawing. We have study skills built in. There are not going to be a lot of in-depth projects, a lot of in-depth experiments. They're pretty kind of quick and to the point, which I like. We have the different things listed out here. This is really the only material from the kit that you're using with this unit. It's this chart about the periodic table, and there's extra reading on here. We did pull in extra resources for this that I will show you momentarily. So we're moving through this. What is the name of the table that shows all the elements in the universe? The periodic table of elements. Let's read about some of the elements. Follow along as I read paragraph 2. So we are in here in our little booklet that I have actually copied and pasted into a notebook, and I will show you that in a moment. And so your child is following along. The first sentence of this paragraph is the topic sentence and tells what the paragraph is about. What is the topic sentence of the paragraph? Different elements have different uses. Use your highlighter to highlight the word. Elements named, okay? And then you're reading off some of the elements and your child is highlighting them. I really like that they're pulling in this direct instruction for study skills. I have not seen that in any other program that we have used. I was really good at studying as a student, and so that kind of is something that comes naturally to me. That's not the case for everybody, and our students, our children actually need to be taught how to study, right? How to highlight the text and annotate the text and write in it and work in it. And so I like that that is built into the script. Highlight the words fluorine at the beginning of the second sentence and chlorine at the beginning of the third sentence. What is fluorine used for? Highlight this, highlight that. Let's look at the periodic table and, asking and answering questions about that. And then we're doing our vocabulary words, and we're using those in our notebook. Write the words chemist and element on Science Wordlist B. What's something you learned in today's lesson? And then you have a review sheet. I like that it talks about that you can use your review sheet the same day or the next day. We actually did these the next day as part of our morning work, and I will show you that in a second. Okay. They include the sample over here of what your book should look like when it's highlighted. They include the filled in review sheets for answer key and like what the periodic table of elements that your child is working on should look like with their annotation. So again, we're just moving through these different components here. The lessons are very straightforward, different elements, using color pencils. There are some computer activities for this one. You would need access to the online materials, okay? So if you buy this secondhand, you don't have access to the online materials. You have to buy the student packet that I think is like $25 to $50 to get access to the online materials. You can do the program without it, okay? It's better to have it when you have components that are like, go to this website. You could probably Google and figure that out on your own though. Like right here, computer activity. Hand computer activity 25 to your child. That's a part of the student materials, but the website is on the Nancy Larson password protected website. Chemical change experiment. There is a little experiment in this one, and then you have a experiment recording sheet for that. Each unit has an assessment at the end. which I like. My son loves the little assessments, and they're pretty straightforward. They're like the review sheets. They're not meant to like trick up your kid or anything. You don't have to call it an assessment. You don't have to call it a test. You don't even have to do it, but we do. And it's nice to be like, yeah, you learned a lot about chemistry in this unit. So let me show you what a unit looked like for us in our science notebook. So we are using the School Nest notebooks. We are big on notebooking. If notebooking is something that you are interested in, I have a video on how we do notebooking, and I have a guide available on my website. You can find the video up there. I have a School Nest science notebook that we use, and we have our learning journal that we use. Our notebook houses our day-to-day type activities, and our journal is our weekly kind of big picture review. Now, for this particular chemistry unit, we did not do journal pages because we were finishing up a biomes unit study at the same time. And I will kind of just show you what that looks like though. So here is our School Nest notebook. Y'all, we have used this School Nest notebook since 2022, and we just finished it. So 2 years, okay, notebook going strong, and I'm really excited to put this on our shelf. So all of our science notebooks are red. My daughter's science notebook is red. History is yellow. We have colors for those. And then I do washi tape on the top. My son has blue washi tape, different patterns of blue. And so when these are in our carts in our homeschool room, or if they're on the table, we can easily tell like, oh, my daughter's is, you know, the other color and his is this color. His name is also on it though. Like I mentioned, we pasted the little booklets into our science notebook. And what I have been doing is washi taping the edges of the booklet so we can really quickly find that in here. And then each booklet has a different color. We're actually on our second science notebook, and that one has a different color for his little booklet. Then you can see his highlighting, you know, kind of work over here. And we started vocabulary, and then I realized I should paste in the rest of the pages. So for vocabulary, he's writing the word and he's writing the definition for them. Here is our periodic table that we were annotating and using a little key here. We also have some of our biome stuff put in the same area because that's just how that happened. So things are kind of mixed in, right? So we were finishing up biomes, and he was also working on chemistry. And so we'll see the chemistry pages kind of paste in between in here. And here is the computer activity, our chemical change page. And yeah. Okay. They have study guides for the older grades for your assessments. So they would do the study guide before the assessment. Again, really like that they have that built in. And then we have the assessment are built in here as well. Normally what we do for science, and I will have him come back and do a learning page. We're still finishing up our biomes. I'll have him probably just do one learning page for chemistry, is we have a weekly notebook where we are summarizing our learning at the end of the week. This was on different clocks, and doing a drawing and some rating. So, you know, these are just examples for other things we've done this year for science. So here's clouds, extreme weather, climate zones, biomes. So we were finishing up a biome unit study at the same time. So you can see some examples here. He has his desert drawing and desert writing, tundra, soil layers. Okay, so we are also doing this alongside the program, and we're still finishing this one up on ocean. If you want to kind of beef up Nancy Larson, right? You're like, okay, I have the energy. My kid's really into this topic. I want to add something to it. I want it to be a little bit more in depth. You can easily pull in other resources. So for example, for chemistry, my son was really into chemistry. And so I grabbed a couple of the Nomad Press guides that are kind of chemistry related. So we have chemical reactions and atoms and molecules. I have a whole video on Nomad Press. This is a really great resource for unit studies. You can find that video up there. And this is at, you know, a student's reading level. So my third grader can read, you know, this material. It has vocab. It has, you know, kind of highlighted on the side. This goes more in depth into chemistry stuff. You can do all the different little projects if you want. They have cartoons and things built in. So this is a really nice resource to pull in. You can also not do that, right? And just pull in more books if you want. The Usborne books that we pulled in were the, Lift the Flap, Periodic Table, Atoms and Molecules. Okay. And then this DK Smithsonian book, which I love. We love DK. And we pulled in a bunch of YouTubes. There's a Crash Course History Kids that has a bunch of chemistry ones for kids. And I have a website, I have a blog post going over kind of all of our things for chemistry. So who is Nancy Larson for, right? Who is this program a good fit for? If you're looking for a program that's going to spiral through a lot of different science topics in a year and then kind of grow on those in upcoming years, this is a good fit for you. This is a good fit for somebody who wants something no fuss, open and go for the most part, right? Because you get your materials kit. It doesn't involve a lot of prep. This is for you. If you want to be spending, 15 to 30 minutes a day, a couple times a week on science, this is a good fit for you. This is not going to be a good fit for somebody who wants deep dives. If you want to spend the entire year on plants or the entire year on earth science, this program is not going to do that. You're going to want to look more at Blossom and Root or Real Science Odyssey, RSO, those types of programs. This program, I don't know, it's kind of like the building scientific foundations for understanding whatever that BFSU program is, except it's like already prepared and written out, and here you go, you just do the science. So that's really nice. It is a pricier program. You can get it online secondhand. There is a buy sell trade group on Facebook where you can pick these up pretty frequently. Folks are listing them, and also on eBay. Again, I got our copy off eBay and the full student kit material. It was brand new for, I want to say $150, maybe $125. So you can get it secondhand. Just put a watch on eBay and go that way. So yeah, we are going to keep using this. My son has enjoyed it. I have enjoyed how simple it is. We're actually like kind of getting through our science in a way that feels more manageable for me with 3, kids at home. I have a 9.5-year-old, a 7-year-old, and a 4.5-year-old. And so our homeschool days are kind of active would be a good way to say it. So yeah, if you found this video helpful, please hit that like button and subscribe button. If you want to see a look inside Science 1, I have a video on that as well. If you're interested on notebooking, I have a video on notebooking and a guide on notebooking. And if you want to see specifically what we did with chemistry and what we will be doing with our other units, I have blog posts on those over on my blog. So thanks, y'all. Have a good one.